Hi guys, Jean here. How are you guys doing this fine day? Look at how much light I'm getting. I love it. Natural light. And I'm saging these YouTube streets. Yeah, I love saging. I wish you guys can take a whiff and a scent and a smell. It's just so beautiful. Mm, yeah. Yeah, you know what? My intention for this email is, voicemail, not email. Video, not voicemail, not email, video. See? I I kind of mumble bumble from time to time. But anyways, I'm here and I'm doing it. I'm not really going to edit that out. I'm just going to keep it in there because that's what I do. I am the woman that do not edit. So you're getting me nice and raw, my pink pillow on the side and all the things, right? So today, I really wanted to discuss this whole idea of why you should begin again. Why begin again? Why start over? Why, do it because it's never too late, right? As I said before, I really love this aspect of begin again as opposed to it's never too late. Everybody use that. Let's not use that. We are not everybody. Let's be clear, we are not everybody. So we're not gonna, we're gonna begin again. I just love it. So before I begin now with the whole idea why you should, and going to tell you some of the stories of why I did, I am going to say, subscribe to my channel. You are going to love my content. Yes, you. You're a beautiful person who wants to begin again, who is a little bit stuck and disappointed and harboring anger and which encourage you to have block against what it is you want in life. So the whole idea, it's just a beautiful thing to do that. So why begin again? Um, if you are pursuing something, and let's say, for instance, I'll give you an example of what I mean in this way. There was a time when I really, really wanted to have this particular job, right? I went to school for hotel management. And I live in Banff. Well, I don't live in Banff anymore, but I used to live in Banff. And I really, really wanted to be the executive housekeeper at the Banff Center. You should Google the Banff Center. Yes, you should Google the Banff Center. It would tell you, the Banff Center for the Arts. It's this beautiful um, place here in Banff where they have Mountain Film Festival and Book Festival, and they have all this different areas for artists to come. If you're a writer, you can have residency here. It's almost like a post-university kind of school. You go to university, then this is a post-university program. You can go there and write, you can go there and do art, you can go there and do, pottery, you can go and paint. It's a beautiful place. It has full-on hotel, it has dormitory areas, it has theaters. There is two or three theaters inside of that place. They have restaurant, fine dining restaurant. They also have a gym, a recreation center, and that is in Banff. So if you go into Banff, the Banff Center is up on St. Julian Road, and you can access it too from the Surprise Corner as well. But it's a very beautiful place. It's like a campus. It's built like a campus. There's lots of building. I don't know if I can count all the buildings that is there. Yeah, they have more than 7 buildings on site, including a huge staff accommodation. So it's really a place for the arts, and it's very, very busy. It's almost like a little village in itself inside of Banff. So I really, really wanted to be the executive housekeeper there. It was like my dream job for so many reasons. One, the BAM Center has a prestige name. It's known all over the world. And if you Google it, you know, you come to BAM for a film festival or a mountain festival or whatever it is, or, you know, they usually have, you know, big name people that come and actually, you know, and do, you know, come and perform in our theater here. So yeah, so that was one of my dream because I was like, oh, I want to work at the BAM Center. I want to do at the time when I wanted to do that job, I was working downtown at the Banff. It's Aspen Lodge now, but it used to be the Banff Travelers Inn. But then I was working there. I was doing their housekeeping down there as well. Apparently, I can only get into housekeeping here in the Bow Valley, and I'm okay with it. I'm harboring no anger, no malice, no nothing. It is what it is. It was what it was, and I am 100 okay with it. But I really wanted to do this job. And finally, I actually I got an interview. And as I mentioned, I wanted to do this job because one, the place is just, you know, world renowned, and it's, you know, a hip place to be. It's a happening place to be. And you know, so it is, I wanted to be there. Plus, it was one of those jobs where, for the first time, I would have been making the type of money I've always wanted to make. You know, I was going to make some good money, being the executive housekeeper, because at the BAM Center, you know, with the housekeeping department, all the housekeepers, the busmen, the outside people, all of that, all in all, I would have had, you know, I'm sure there was, you know, maybe more than 80 staff I should have, although most days we were running on, you know. Anyways, I got the job, and that was my dream job. I wanted to do that job. I remember the day I got the call that I got that job. I was so excited. I wept. You know, I cried. I was so excited because I got my dream job. Like, it's the thing. That's what I wanted to do. And at the time I was married, and live in Banff, obviously. And honestly, where I live and where the BAM Center is, where I lived at the time and where the BAM Center is like, you know, a 10 minutes walk up the hill. And back then I walked a lot. Well, I walk a lot now as well. I'm always walking. I'm a walker. And so I got the job and I was excited and I started the job. But I had one of those bosses. She was one of those bosses that basically tied my hands. And when I say tied my hands, now that place was a very busy place. We had like full on hotel, you know, and a very busy place. And so sometimes we would run out of stuff that I have to buy or I have to get, and it's the weekend and my boss is not there and I need to order it. And one time I called this the cleaning supply store to order toilet paper one Saturday. It was a weekend. And I called the cleaning supply store to order toilet paper. And when I call, the lady on the line, the lady that answered, she said to me that my boss told her not to sell anything to me. So just imagine I am the executive housekeeper there, and my boss decide that I am not allowed to do purchasing when things run out. Like, I don't know how that work, but anyways, that was part of what my boss did. My boss was one of those people that would literally put you under a bus, literally. She would put you under a bus. So instead of her telling me that I have no purchasing right, or that I cannot purchase thing on the weekend when everything is ran out, we're talking about a hotel, because I was working, taking care of the hotel part, also the rest of all the other buildings, but mainly all the hotels, to get the rooms and stuff clean. And to tell me, the housekeeping executive person, that I wasn't allowed to purchase anything, especially when she wasn't there and when everything ran out, um, well, that was worse than a disrespect. That was like an insult. And I think, in a sense, I just said that I harbor no anger or hatred or anything towards these people. But I have to tell you, I feel like I'm still emotional about that shit. Like, that was racism at its best. Or talk about disrespect. Talk about making me feel like, basically, who am I? I have staff to look after and I cannot give them the tools that they need to do their job. And I end up staying in that job, like my dream job. I stayed in that job for 1 year. And not only because my boss didn't allow me to, purchase anything from the cleaning supply store, because she didn't tell me, but she told the cleaning supply woman to not supply me with any goods. So that was one thing that was a problem with the job. The other thing that was a big problem with the job, more than my boss always throwing me under the bus, is that we were always short staff. And you would think that that has to do with me, but the truth is, in Banff, Alberta, back in the middle of the 2000s, say 2000, um, 2006, 2007, 2005, and I think it still happened now, but I have been out of the hotel environment, for many since then. Actually, since then I've been out of the hotel environment, because after that, well, I'll tell you what happened after. And so we were always short staff, and I inquire about hiring foreign workers, and there was a no to that. So I end up with staff that would come to work and not do the work. They would hide in and between the hotel, especially some of my French Canadian workers. They would hide. So at the end of the day, the rooms and them would not get clean. And when you only have so I was working with a very lean staff, like very lean staff. And so that in itself posed a problem, because I couldn't go out and clean the room myself, although I had to, and I did, which is a whole other story. And so that was another thing. The other thing was, because we were short staff, and but our department also have to clean the entire recreational building, which means we have to clean around the swimming pool and the sauna and the steam room and the showers, all in there. We also had to clean up the kitchen, a big industrial kitchen. And when I tell you that we didn't have staff, so I would have to work in the daytime and then go back to work after 11 at night to make sure that the kitchen get clean and the recreational center get clean. Sometimes well, actually, most times when I go back to work after 11, 12 at night, I am part of the cleaning team that clean up the recreational center. I'm part of the team that clean the sauna and the steam room and the floor and around the swimming pool and all the showers and all the areas there. We used to do that. And that building was a 1, 2, there was like 3 floors. Yeah, so there's a swimming pool and the basketball and the area floor, and then on top of that was the restaurant, and there is another area there to clean. And then on top of that was the fine dining restaurants and the whole big kitchen and all of that, right? So I don't know if you can imagine that, but as I say, maybe I'll try and see if I can get a link and put it in my, where you can read it in my description, the BAM Center, or maybe not, because I'm just talking about a job that I didn't do there. But that job was my dream job. And my dream job turned into a job that I have never worked that hard in my life. And I am a hard worker. But when you work all day and then you have to, when I work all day and then I have to go back in the middle of the night to make sure that all the stoves and the oven in this industrial kitchen get clean, and mainly I am the staff, I am the manager in such a place, and again, it had no reflection on me. Staffing was really, really, really hard to come by, especially in the summertime, out here in this hospitality industrial area. It was very hard. It's a tourist town. Lots of people come in. I don't know what they do now. I know that before, eventually they started hiring foreign workers, but I don't know how it works out now. But so, anyways, my dream job. I wanted that job so bad I would have done anything for it. And while I was doing it, I thought I would have done anything to stay in it. And I had a tyrant for a boss, and I mainly had to do a lot of the work for myself. I don't even think I've ever said that out loud, and how emotionally terrible that was for myself. Anyways, one day I ended up staying in this job for literally 1 year. I thought I was going to make it 5 years or how many years. But I ended up staying in this job. And plus, let's not forget, because it was my first executive job, my manager literally wasn't really paying me what I deserved to be paid. Yes, I was making more money than I ever made, but because it was my first time, she didn't give me the highest scale of my pay. I got the lower scale of that pay, right? And I think back then I was just making under $60,000, which, in the middle of the 2000, that's a lot of money. But I should have been making about almost 80 for the size of the place and all of what it entailed, or at least 75. And within 1 year, I don't even know if it was a full year. I remember one morning I went up to work, and I usually get to work early at 7 a.m. And I had a nice big office, mind you. Oh my God, I had a nice big office. I was driving this nice little Suzuki Swift little red car. I was feeling myself, I looked the part. And one morning I went to work, I got into the office, I look around, and the question I asked myself is, what am I doing here? Because within 1 year, I was so burnt out, I couldn't function. Like literally, I couldn't function. I was so burnt out from overwork. And I had this, and I think sometimes we think that it's random things that happen. But now, when when I think about that moment in the office, standing there, I wasn't sitting, I was standing with my hand on the back of the chair. And as I stand in the office and looking at the space, I tell you, my spirit says to me, why are you working so hard for those people? If you can work this hard for someone else, you can actually work this hard for yourself. Like my spirit said that to me. And I know now for sure that was not, my spirit said, hey, you know, or my ancestors, whoever, they talk to me. They're like, why are you working this hard for these people that don't give a shit about you, that throw you under the bus? Don't you know you can work that hard for yourself? And so I took my bag. After I heard that, I took up my bag. I walk out the office. I walk right down, walk out to the building, cross the street, walk into the human resources building, because they had an entire human resources department to house all the staff. Because mind you, this was not my first job at the BAM Center. I used to do, I had worked there for 5 years in their reservation department. So I used to work in reservations, taking reservations for hotel, but also taking reservations all for all the conferences, all the people that come in for conference, and there was lots of people. So all the groups and everything, I used to work in the reservation department. We had one, two, three, four, five of us working in the reservation department. That's to tell you how big that place is. They had five of us working there. And that's back when people used to answer the phone when you call. Anyways, I walk across the street, not a main road, but I just across the next building. And I walk into that building and went straight to the human resources office. And I said, I don't think I'm coming back. I quit. I'm going. I don't even know if I used the word quit. I just said that I am going to see a doctor. And I went downtown and I went to see my doctor, and I got myself a 2 week I got myself a 2 week um, stress leave, and within that 2 week, I quit the job, because I quit on that day, but just I knew that, right? I said goodbye, so long, thank you. I left, and that was not even a year. And the same way I had cried a lot when I got this job. I was so excited. I called everybody, and I had cried and cried when I got the job. And when I left the job, I think I cried for 3 full days. And you can ask my ex-husband, because I'm a crier. And I cried and cried. Oh my God, I cried so much over that stupid job. And it was because I was tired, and realizing so much more now, it was because I wasn't treated good at all. And it was because I was so willing to work so hard for these people, so hard. So within a year, I quit. And after I finished my 3 days of crying, I remember my husband at the time, my ex-husband, I remember I think he called my sister, he called one of my family member, because he thought I was losing my shit, because I wouldn't, he thought I was, like a little nuts. Yeah, he thought I was losing it. So he called in some reinforcement. And I think he called my sister, and I had to tell him I was okay. I just was heartbroken. Like literally, I was heartbroken. And on top of that, I was actually burnt out. I was suffering a lot, you know? So I give myself that weekend. I cried. When I was done, you have to remember, I got the message while I was before I walk out of this office, I got the message that, um, why are you working so hard for someone else when you can do it for yourself? So when I got that message, I thought, okay, okay, I'm going to go work for myself. And I had this plan that when I retire, I've always had this plan, and I've said it so many times. When I retire, I was going to retire, and in my retirement, I would run a cleaning service. And so the idea of having a cleaning service, I was like, oh, in a couple of years, like in not even a couple of years, in about 10, 20 years, I'm gonna own myself a little cleaning service, my own business, I'm not there yet. But to be honest, the idea, the seed that was planted within me, why work so hard for someone else when you can come and work for yourself? And after finishing crying, 3 days of crying, and I took about a week off. And within that week, I got myself a logo. I was writing and writing and writing. I decided to go and clean houses. I decided to open a business cleaning houses in town and do it for myself. At the time, it was a business that I would do for myself. And so one night I'm writing, like, what is the name of my business? And we are living in the middle of the Rockies. We are living in the middle of this Rockies. So I didn't want to call my business anything mountain. There is so many mountain around, and I needed something that represent me. So I finally got the name Jean Tropical Breeze Cleaning Service. You can even say Tropical Breeze Cleaning Service, but I had my name on it, Jean Tropical Breeze Cleaning Service, Tropical Breeze. Do you know, sometime, actually, even now, I still get stuff from the mail with that for Jean Tropical Breeze. Could you imagine? After all this time, I still get that. But um, yeah, so I got a logo. I go and I print out some, even before I print out some card, I put just that little 25 words, about my cleaning service in the local newspaper. They had two local newspaper, and I put my little ad in the newspaper. It cost me less than $20. It was really cheap to put a ad in the newspaper to run for a whole week and the jobs that coming in. And mind you, by that time I had my little red Suzuki. I bought one thing. I bought a vacuum cleaner. One nice little Henry vacuum cleaner, those little English vacuum cleaner, those canister. Let me tell you. Sorry, excuse me. Excuse me. Um, if you're looking for a nice little vacuum cleaner that just runs behind you. It's like Henry is running behind you. It's so cute. It's like a little pug running behind you. I got get one of those. They lightweight, they easy, especially for a business. And I think maybe I'll speak on how to build a mortar and pestle business, or your own cleaning service, right? How to build that, because it's really not hard. I can probably go back into it if I wanted to clean, but I don't really. This is something that is in my past. But I started cleaning because I put an ad in the paper and people start calling me, and all I did was put a little ad with my card, and then I got a lot of cards. I got about 100 cards, and I started to give it out to people. I create flyers, and I put flyers in when the business got really bigger, actually, because I went from me alone to, within the 5, 6 years that I owned the business, to having 12 employee, including a supervisor. And so I had, hiring English people from, I had English people, people from England, my staff from England. I had staff from the Philippines. I had staff from Jamaica. Yep, I actually end up with a full-on cleaning service with three three vehicles, a fleet of vehicles. Yeah, I was doing really good business, like really good business. And and I just start with myself with a silly little ad in the paper that cost me less than $20 a week. Because you put the paper come out once a week, and the ad is in the paper, and that was it. And I started cleaning, and I hired someone the minute time I realized that I couldn't do more than 2 houses in a day for myself. And if I got a big house, I can only do that big house in that day, right? An entire house with 3, 4 bedroom, three washrooms. All of that is a lot. And I used to do 2 house a day even when I had a big house like that. So finally, within less than 3 months of my business, I started hiring others. And I was fortunate enough to hire. I end up doing the foreign worker hiring for myself. I actually hire workers from the Philippines. I had hired 3 young women from the Philippines. I sponsor them to come straight from the Philippines to come and work in my business here in Canada, and so that was a big deal for me back then. Really, having employing people, teaching them to drive, going out on the job and training them. I got myself right away. I guess as soon as I thought about hiring someone else, I got myself a an accountant, someone to do my books and all of that. So my dream job, you have to remember I started talking about why begin again, because my dream job that I thought was my dream job that I got and I was so excited about within a year, that job was done. So my dream job ended up actually being opening, running my own cleaning service, like being my own boss, having my own. And yes, it was hard work, but it was different. I loved it. I love being a boss. I love, having my logo on my car and driving around. I love it when people tell me how good my business is because it was one of the best business in this Bow Valley. We work hard. My motto for cleaning was I wanted my client to feel the clean when they enter into their house. I wanted them to feel the clean. Not only see the clean, but I wanted them to feel, I wanted them to have a feeling of cleanliness. And if you are not, if you don't know about clean and dirty, then I'm really sorry for you because I can walk into a house and the house can look organized, but I know that the house is not clean. And that's how I operate. When I walk into a house, I know it. And especially even in my house as well. You would come and you'll be like, wow, the house is so clean. And I'll be like, nope, I need to go wash the floor because there is a feeling. There's actually a real feeling when your place is not clean enough. And it would be good for you guys to know that because as a person that used to clean, um, and have that as as part of my tool in my background, cleaning, sometimes you don't see it, but you can feel it. You can get into an environment and you don't feel good about that environment. And that has something to do with cleaning. So, the job I thought was my dream job was not my dream job. But because I was willing to begin again, you know, and that's, why begin again? Right? I begin again. I did my crying, I did my thing, I brushed my ass off and I opened my own business because that's what happened. And eventually after I think 6 years, 7 years, somewhere around there, I sold the business to the accountant because the business was making a lot of money on paper. I was making at the time when everybody was with the 6 figures, I was making 6 figures back then, the 6 figures. It was just on paper. But I ended up selling the business, and that didn't even go well because the people I sell the business to, my accountant, they didn't really feel that they should pay me for it. Apparently, I needed to give it to them for free. And again, that didn't upset me because, I do truly believe this thing, cause and effect. And I believe in the whole karma aspect of things as well. So I didn't really be bothered about it too much. I was in a way, but not in the sense that I really needed to, to go to small claims court or anything like that, because I often believe that all these things it's just costly at the end of the story. Save your time, save your money, as opposed to getting your time tied up in going to courts for what, so that you can, tell somebody that you put one up or over on them. It's a waste of time. So don't do it. I wouldn't do it. But anyways, um, If you don't, because when you when like for instance, I could have allowed that job to stop me from, I could have stayed in it because I consider it my dream job, and I don't know, just stay in it for a number of years, even though it eventually had made me so unhappy. I could have stayed in it and convinced myself that I needed to stay for the money. um I I also could have not opened my own business and be my own boss and live in my own quality of richness. Um, I could have not done that because, I could have been like, oh, I'm just going to get another job, or oh, life is not fair. But the whole idea of beginning again is that when life disappoints you, because I was so disappointed, if you don't make space to move forward and do something different, you stay in that disappointment. You stay in that disappointment. Beginning again means that there are times when you are going to be uncomfortable, because that's where the growth is. Being uncomfortable, that's where you can find growth. That's where you really need to stay in it, and you really need to begin again, because growth comes from discomfort. Really, it comes from discomfort. And I'll tell you that, I just had my now husband had to go to Trinidad and Tobago overnight to get just a bit of tests, to do something for like the law for immigration. And he panicked. He has not done this before. He's already almost 50, and he hasn't really traveled a lot. And yeah, if you see that, you know that, this is not about, yeah. So as much as everybody else, and so he was feeling pretty nervous about doing that, like really, really, really. Like it takes, a lot of his time and a lot of energy. But here is the thing. He got on that plane and he went. As a matter of fact, he went yesterday and came back today. Or by the time you're watching this video, it took him just overnight. He just went overnight and already returned home nice and safe. And it's done, you know. But that uncomfortableness, that feeling of discomfort that he had, but he did it anyway, that is growth. This man doesn't know it, but he has just lifted himself up from here to there, because that is growth. Getting into your discomfort and doing what you need to do, it is growth. I am not sure why I'm looking here and looking there, but whatever, I'm talking, so I'm basically all just looking around. um yeah, so I really do encourage you. I encourage you to do those things to begin again. Because if you stay in disappointment, or you stay in the anger fact of it, or you stay in the unfairness of life, when life is unfair, like when my boss, tell the cleaning supply people that has to supply me with all the materials, all the products I need to do my job. She tied my hand, and didn't tell me that my hands are tied. And when I call to only have this, like, those are things, like, if you cannot move past when people, you feel that people have done you wrong, or that life is not fair, you know what she did was not fair. And that's good. I know that. But I didn't want it to stop me from moving ahead, finding out that my dream job at the end of the day was being an entrepreneur. My dream job was working for myself. My dream job was having my own staff. My dream job at the end of the day was looking at all my vehicles lined up at this, just at the bottom of the road from the house that I'm living in. My dream job was that I could get up in the morning and go to the Banff Springs Hotel and do my workout in a beautiful gym, swim in an Olympic sized pool, and take my time and get to work at 10 o'clock and not at 6 o'clock. That was like a dream. I don't have that now, but at the time when I was doing it, that was like a dream. And one day, yeah, I actually quit that job as well. I end up burnt out again. You know those things, burnt out, not too happy with the huzzy, um, don't really know what to do. Yeah, still want the business, but tired of cleaning. I was ready to do something else. And I guess if you're one of those people that is kind of like purpose driven, but you need a new adventure, something new to do to stimulate your mind every couple of years, I hear you. I was one of those people. So yeah, yeah, because I finally eventually had sell that cleaning business and move on to something else. So begin again. Don't let disappointment, anger, the block that you feel that you cannot move forward with, shame can do that to you as well. When you're ashamed and you're full of, like rage can do that to you. Don't let those things hold you back. I remember Elizabeth Gilbert was saying that there was this time when she went off and write a book about it wasn't the one about the New York, the woman in New York. It was a book about the gardening or something. I didn't read that book because that book was totally not in her genre. Her books is about writing kind of memoirish, real life thing. And she went and did this research and, write a book about some woman in a garden. I may have to, we can look that up. But my point is, what she did, she felt stuck from writing. She was married and she probably was that time in the marriage when it was time to leave, but she didn't leave, but she was bored and she had nothing to do. And so she ended up writing this book on gardening and going outside and getting her hands dirty. But as soon as that book was done, she ended up writing Big Magic. Guys, you see? She actually begin again with something, a totally different genre. And then she went into writing Big Magic, which was a totally different genre. And we saw her do it again after her partner died, right? After her partner died, she wrote a book about the flappers in New York. I think it has, New York and back then in the days, and what was the name of that book again? You guys going to remind me? Maybe I'll look it up. But anyway, she wrote a different book about something totally different. And then now, just not too long ago, she put out, one of those memoir type book, which was deeper and darker and had more information, more for life. But here is a woman that began again and again and again and again. And she was not ashamed, or even if she was, to actually put her whole self out there, right? Vulnerable, uncomfortable, right? So that is what I want to leave you guys here with today. Begin again. You may not do the thing, you probably were an artist and you actually felt like you dry up, you have nothing to paint. Go wash some dishes. Do some dishwashing, become a plumber, use your hands, go rake the yard, do some gardening, become a landscaper. There's all these things that you can do, you know. So that is why you begin again, and you do it again and again until you get to what it is you have to do in your life. Will this YouTube street work out for me? I don't know. What I do know is that every day I begin again. Every day I do a new video. So every day I'm beginning again, and almost every day my topic might varies. But my intention here is to speak to the person who wants to begin again, who wants to do something different. And that's my intention. My intention is to give you that information and to tell you that it's never really too late to begin again. I love you guys lots. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like my channel, and do less, be more. Okay? Do less and be more, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. And remember, I really and truly am not in a space where I'm editing. I'm just wanting to see how this is all going to work out for this 100 days that I'm doing. And then I probably would graduate into big school. Maybe I'll get an A plus and graduate into big school. But yeah, so no editing. So I'm going to lean forward and say goodbye.